Hi everyone, Father Lamb here. Today is Wednesday, April 27th, and we are 10 days into the Easter season. Undoubtedly, we've all heard the phrase, you are what you eat. No matter what we eat, we become what we eat. Our bodies assimilate that. Put good food in, it's nourishing to our bodies. Put bad food in, well, not so good. The author, Matthew Kelly, has a beautiful little line. He says, we become the stories we read. We become the stories we read. Whatever we read or watch, if you will, on television or social media, if it's something that's not uplifting, well, we mirror the same thing. We watch things that are inspirational and fill us with inspiration. It has a way of building us up. Sometimes it's good for us to stop and ask ourselves, and what am I reading? What am I watching on TV? What am I listening to? Because that really does affect us. You know, we've all gone through Lent now, good, bad, or indifferent. Maybe you've done a bunch of things and maybe you failed at things, whatever, gave up certain things. Maybe you did some extra devotions, went to Mass a few more times, Stations of the Cross, tried to do some extra things, all good. And it's time for us to celebrate the Easter season, celebrate the resurrection of Christ, eat those foods that we gave up, and that's all good. But then as we come back, into reality, we want to continue those changes inside ourselves and not go back to those old habits again. So it's not bad for us during this time to write even a list of things we'd like to continue to do. Maybe you are more, loyal to doing your morning prayer. Let's keep doing that. Maybe you went to Mass, like I said, a few extra times a week, or maybe you gave up certain things and it was healthy for you. Maybe bring a few of those things back into our lives and not just throw it all away now that, Easter's here. Let's keep it going, if you will. And given that phrase, we become the stories we read, it's not a bad thing to look at some of the stories that are in the scriptures. We have so many wonderful stories in the scriptures. I mean, the Old Testament, you have Moses parting the Red Sea, you have Daniel in the lion's den, you have David and Goliath. I mean, the stories go on and on. There's so many beautiful stories there that we can read, share with our children and our grandchildren. Right into the New Testament and the lives of the saints. There's some great stories of conversion in the lives of the saints. St. Francis of Assisi, how he lived a terrible life and had a child out of wedlock and all of that, and then he finally ended up becoming a wonderful saint. There's so many examples of that around us. Every year I watch the Christmas Story from Charles Dickens. I just read it recently again, and I love watching that movie every year. It's a great conversion of Ebenezer Scrooge, bah humbug, and then finally sort of getting it, if you will, from the ghost of Christmas past, present, and future, and finding his true self. Or as Matthew Kelly would say, becoming the best version of ourselves. It's really a good time now for us to take a look at that and say to ourselves, what stories am I reading? What am I watching on TV? Are these things that really build me up, or are they things that bring me down? Maybe we need to shift that in our lives. Sure, we need to watch the news and know what's going on in the world, but we don't need to have a steady diet of it in our living room of people, being displaced and killed and all of that. It's so depressing. Turn the TV off and pray for the people of the Ukraine or whatever we're watching on TV, because most of it's bad news. We need to be people of prayer and people of faith. I mentioned in the very beginning of this, you are what you eat. And this is also true of the Eucharist. As we come toward the end of the year of the Real Presence, it'll end, I believe, on the Feast of Corpus Christi in June. It's good for us to get a deeper sense of what the Eucharist means, to receive the Eucharist with more devotion, to receive the Eucharist more often and even once a week, to spend some time in front of the Blessed Sacrament, to allow Christ to talk to us and speak to us in that beautiful sacrament. The only way we can really appreciate the Eucharist is spending time with Jesus, and just looking at his loving face. As I've said many, many times, that man who went into the church where St. John Vianney was in France, and he was just there in front of the Blessed Sacrament. John Vianney asked him one day, "You're spending all these hours here. What are you doing?" And the man simply pointed to the Blessed Sacrament that was on the altar exposed in the monstrance. And he simply said, "I look at him and he looks at me. I love him and he loves me." And once we enter into that time with Jesus, that becomes part of our story, being with Jesus. And then when we receive him in the Eucharist, it means that much more to us. We become the stories we read. Let's be aware of what we're reading and watching this week. Let's watch something edifying that builds up our spirit. And let's spend some time with Jesus in the Blessed Sacrament. God bless you.